If I could choose a watch for each milestone in life, what would it be? Well, it's funny you say that because I got some thoughts that I wanted to share with you. Namely, my top 10 watches for 10 major life events, starting from £100 going all the way up to £250,000. Welcome back to the WatchGecko channel, all of you watch heroes and nerds. As always, I am your awkward horologist Chris, and I am back from my holiday, and I am eager to share with you some videos and ideas I've tossed around the pool whilst drinking copious amounts of gin and tonic. What could possibly go wrong? So today I wanted to take a look at what I consider to be milestone watches, as in great looking timepieces reflecting a major event in a lifetime. Obviously we're looking at my personal suggestions here, but there are some other reasonably priced alternatives. So please let us know in the comments below which choices you'd make for your own milestones. Also, if you want to get yourself a nice looking watch strap, check out the WatchGecko website. We'll even give you a cheeky discount if it's your first time. So click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Okay, let's get cracking with the milestone watches, shall we? So I think most of you will agree that the first major milestone is the high school graduation. Now, thinking back to me as a spotty and roguishly average teenager, I don't think I'd be able to handle the responsibility of an expensive watch. So I think low budget is the way to go here. And looking back at my taste at the time, I would probably opt for digital over analog. So my choice would be this, the G-Shock DW5600, or as I like to call it, the original OG Square G. It's an icon of a watch. The design has been unmistakably stylish since the 1980s, and it's affordable too. So fast forward a few years and you finish your degree, apprenticeship or similar, and it's time to put behind the world of education and enter the world of work. As a graduation gift, what would I recommend? Well, I think it's time to go mechanical here, but it's still lean and on a budget, but not too lean. I think here I would opt for a Seiko, but not just any Seiko. I'd go for a diver's watch. After all, it's a tool-like watch, versatile, and of course, goddamn good looking. My choice would be this, the Seiko SPB 153. It's definitely one of my favorites on the Prospects line. It has a fantastic Seiko 6R movement, sapphire crystal, and 200 meters of water resistance. Also, if you're anything like me, a pretty active guy back then with hobbies like open water swimming, it's definitely a perfect choice. And for just under a cool grand second hand, I can absolutely see somebody saving up for this one. Right, next up we have the shock of the real world, the 9 to 5, or more like me back in the day, the 8 till 5:30. Either way, it's office space and you have to dress somewhat like an adult, albeit kicking and screaming. So your first job, especially if you are office based, you need a classic looking, maybe even dressier watch, but without as large a price tag. So I'm going to suggest this, a watch arguably better than the Cartier Tank, the Longines Dolce Vita. For around £1,500, you get an iconic dressy tank watch with numerals, sapphire crystal, and all this from an iconic Swiss brand. Longines are one of those brands I have so much love and respect for. In my opinion, they are criminally underrated. But since your man Henry Cavill has become a brand ambassador, I do hope that they shed some light on this quite frankly wonderful brand. I think for the money, it can absolutely go blow for blow with the obvious competitor in Cartier. So say it with me, folks. The Longines Dolce Vita is not a poor man's Cartier, it's a smart and worthy competitor. Ah, young love, isn't it grand? Look, I've been very happily married with my wife now for almost a decade, and what I can say with relative certainty is that she tolerates me just as much as I love her. But before you say I do, there is a newer trend of gifting a watch along with an engagement ring. And you know what? I'm all for it. In fact, I first heard of this a few years back when the always amazing Jody from Just One More Watch was gifted an Omega Aquaterra from his now wife. So for me, I would like to point out to you a watch that I have owned, the Tudor Black Bay 54. In my opinion, it's the best of the Black Bay range. It's slim and feels more vintage inspired than the slightly bigger compatriots in the 58 and 41 respectively. For around £3,500 on the bracelet, you can get a COSC certified MT5400 movement with a 70-hour power reserve, sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, and of course, excellent finishing from Rolex's little brother are well known for. I love this watch, and the only reason why I let it go at the end of the day was because I managed to get my hands on this gorgeous Tudor Submariner 7016 from 1967. Alright, so maybe you didn't get an engagement watch. Maybe you should just treat yourself to a marriage watch instead, eh? Well, take a look at this, the Grand Seiko Elegance SBG M221, a dressy, immaculately finished Garda style watch from a brand well known for their excellent quality and finishing. Now for £4,500, it gets you a Zaratsu polished watch with a Grand Seiko 9S66 movement with 3 days of power reserve. It's a GMT movement, has beautiful sapphire crystal, and to make things even more versatile, you've got 100 meters of water resistance. Personally, I'm a big fan of the cream dial and blue GMT hand too. Okay, after marriage, we all know what usually comes next. A little bit of nookie, and 9 months later, 2 become 3. So first child is such an important and also pretty expensive endeavor. All of this to say, money is probably going to be a little bit tight, but you still want something to mark the occasion. So I would go for this. The Citizen Forza, specifically the Super Titanium Mechanical Series in blue, aqua green, salmon, and of course, white. These watches are not inconsiderate at £499, but it's quite a bit cheaper than the last few entries. Again, you get sapphire crystal, automatic movements, 100 meters of water resistance, and of course, a great titanium construction. Now, working 9 to 5 is going well. In fact, your boss has given you that promotion you've been eyeing up for the last few months. Well done, good on you. You've earned all the accolades and have done very, very well for yourself. If you've got a bit of money to spend, I would recommend this, the quite frankly gorgeous Omega Aquaterra, probably one of the best Garda watches in the biz right now. You get sapphire crystal, decent water resistance of 150 meters, and a fantastic, and I really do mean fantastic, METAS and COSC certified coaxial movement. And it's a watch that will definitely dress up for the boardroom or down in board shorts on the beach. This one is around £3,500 to £6,000 dependent on the model, and you do get quite a lot. So it's time for another trip to the emergency room here, and this time you're welcoming baby number 2. Now, thanks to your eldest son, you know the drill. You need a watch that can probably handle a bit of battering on the weekends, evening, and generally any time you're playing or just living around them. Take it from somebody who knows all too well. I would suggest the gorgeous and more affordable Swiss brand Hamilton, especially the khaki range. My personal choice would be the khaki field automatic, a dressier, more capable version of the mechanical field watch. It comes in 42 and 38mm. Personally, I would recommend the 38 as it does wear better. For under £1,000, it's a banger of a watch with a great ETA movement, sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, and a timeless design. So what's next on the milestone list? Well, if you ask me, I would say starting a company. Now, to be a business owner is a big step, and it usually takes a lot of investment and more than a little bit of courage. Money will be tight for a short time, but when the money starts rolling in, I think it's time to reward yourself. And for me, a no-nonsense entrepreneur, I would go for a really well-made, highly regarded, yet more affordable British brand, Fairer. It is a stunning world timer that comes in blue, green and white with an amazing 24-hour disc with the day-night indicator. Personally, I own the Blue Dial Roche 2 and can attest to the amazing looks and build quality from this British brand. This one new is £1,495 and you can find it cheaper on the second-hand market, but honestly, they don't come up for sale that often, and that is mainly because of the build quality and the loyal fan base behind the brand. So, you're at the end of your working life and fancy treating yourself. Well, feature your eyes on this as a retirement gift to yourself. Now, I'm going Rolex here. Yes, I've held back on the brand until the last possible moment, but it's well worth it when you see my choice. I think as a retirement piece, a classic GMT Master would be just the ticket. Well, at least for me. And I mean really classic too. Enter the 1675, specifically the Pepsi or the 16700 Coke bezel configuration. I love it. Timeless classic, and personally I think it wears tenfold better than any sports watch in Rolex's modern lineup. I've seen these secondhand, which by the way is the only place that you can find them, for £8,000 to £12,000 dependent on age and condition. But that's not all folks. Here's your bonus watch, because I love you all so very much. You finally made it. You became a multimillionaire and it's time to celebrate. When budget doesn't really matter, it actually becomes a little harder to pick a watch. So stay with me here. First I thought, maybe it would be the minute repeater 607091FE from Longines. Gorgeous watch, but it doesn't feel iconic enough for some reason. Then I thought the Vacheron Constantin 222, but this one I thought, I'd like to see something else going on. I also considered the Patek Philippe Grand Complication in yellow gold at a whopping £170,450, but again, not really for me as an everyday wear, plus I don't seem to have a good track record with yellow gold. I'm also deathly allergic to Richard Mille, just not for me, and I doubt it ever will be. So I finally settled on a watch with an iconic design and loads of potential complications, from basic time only to chronograph and even minute repeater. So I would go for any, and I really mean any, Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, an icon of a modern design, and there is something for everyone here. Luckily, you're a multimillionaire, so prices starting at £6,400 and they skyrocket to an incredible £286,000, but you've got so much money that price tag wouldn't matter anyway. So that's my list of milestone watches. What do you think? Should I have mentioned iconic watches like the Cartier Santos or Tank, the Omega Speedmaster, the Tag Monaco, maybe even IWC or Oris? I've also left out independent and micro brands like Fears, Christopher Ward's and Ming. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. All that's left to say is take care watch nerds, and I'll see you all in the next video.